back to my Mexican kitchen here in Switzerland. Today, before starting with the recipe, I want to wish you all a happy new year. I hope you had a wonderful time with or without family. As long as we're healthy, that's what matters. And well, I want to start the new year and the new recipes for this year with something that I really love, which is Mexican panaderia, or Mexican bakery, the breads we have in Mexico. Not to brag or anything, but the Mexican food is recognized by the UNESCO as an intangible World Heritage, which means our food is awesome. And the bakery is something I really like. I like eating sweet things. And what I like about Mexican bakery and Mexican breads is they're not super sweet. They are like perfect to enjoy with coffee. They don't really have a lot of glazing or icing or anything. They are really nice. And the one I'm sharing today is called elote, which means corn. It doesn't have corn in the recipe. It just looks like a corn. It's beautiful and it's super simple to make. So we can start making that right now. The ingredients you need to prepare your elote or corn are going to be divided in 3 parts. The first part would be the white dough. For that, you're going to need 600 grams of flour, or the equivalent is 4 3/4 of a cup. 7.5 grams of salt, the equivalent is 1 1/4 of a teaspoon. 1 package of dry yeast, which is 7 grams. 170 milliliters of water, which would be 3/4 of a cup. 200 grams of butter, which is 1 cup. 2 eggs. For the yellow dough, you're going to need 250 grams of flour, the equivalent is 1 3/4 of a cup. 140 grams of confectioner's sugar, which would be 1 cup. 100 grams of butter, that would be 1/2 cup. 2 teaspoons of clear vanilla extract. 4 egg yolks, and optional, you can use yellow food coloring. For the coating, you're going to need 100 grams of sugar, which would be 1/2 cup. And 3.5 grams of ground cinnamon, which would be 1 1/2 teaspoons. Okay, so to get started, we're going to activate the yeast. What we have to do is we need a bowl, a bowl, and we're going to pour in our warm water. Do not use hot water, it will kill your yeast. Do not use cold water, nothing will happen if you use cold water. It has to be warm. So you put your warm water in there and you're going to pour in your yeast. And from the sugar that I asked for the coating, we're going to steal 1 tablespoon out of there. It's okay, 1 tablespoon less won't affect the recipe. We add it into our bowl, we mix, and we're going to let it rest for about 20 minutes or until it's activated. How do we know it's activated? The yeast is going to foam up, it's going to grow. If you see that doesn't happen after the 20 minutes, it means your yeast was either old, not good, so you have to throw it out and start again. It's very important that your yeast foams up. Okay, so for this recipe, we're going to be using our KitchenAid mixer, or whichever brand you guys have at home. First, let me show you how the yeast looks like. It's been activated, so it's all foamy. That's how your yeast has to look so you can use it. What we're going to do is, in our bowl, we're going to add our flour and our salt and the yeast, and we're going to mix with the hook. Once it's fully integrated, we add our butter, which is room temperature, so it's soft. It's going to blend in there perfectly easily. And last but not least, we add our 2 eggs. We continue mixing until all has integrated well. It looks like a nice smooth dough. And we're going to let it rest for 30 minutes. You can leave it in your bowl. Just cover it with a wet towel. And preferably put it in a warm spot in your house. It can be next to a heater or radiator, anywhere that it's warm. It's only a 30-minute rest, but so it won't grow too much, but it always helps to keep it in a warm spot. Okay, so while our white dough is resting, we're going to get started with our yellow dough. It's super easy. All the ingredients I gave you guys in the list for the yellow dough are mixed by hand. No special order. You're just going to mix. A lot of recipes, especially in Mexican baking, ask for vegetable shortening, which I really dislike. I always modify my recipes, or try to at least most of the times, to modify the quantities so that I can use butter instead. I like the taste of butter. So because I use butter and not vegetable shortening, we're going to have to refrigerate our dough so that it keeps the shape. So what we're going to do is, once the dough is made, you guys have to put it in the refrigerator, and you're going to leave it in there until we need it. So just add everything. What I use in my recipe are egg yolks to make the the yellow color. But the thing is, some egg yolks are very pale, some are more intense, so it won't necessarily give you the nice intense yellow color, which is why I suggest the yellow food coloring. When I make these breads here for home, I never add food coloring. There's no point. I mean, we want the taste. This doesn't add any taste. It's just for color. So if you guys are doing it for your house, for your family, for friends which you are close to, you don't really need to add this. But let's say it's for business or gifting for someone special, then I do suggest, because then the yellow inside the bread is more intense and more beautiful. That being said, it's time to put everything in the bowl and get sloppy. Okay, so our dough is done resting. We're going to punch the air out. All you need to do is make a fist and stuff it in there, punch all the air out. Once you're done punching the air out, you're going to roll your dough out onto your counter, and you're going to divide it into 60-gram portions. Once you have all the portions weighed and divided, you're going to make little balls, and you're going to let them rest on your counter for 20 minutes. If you want, you can cover it with a very thin cloth or with some plastic. I never cover because I've never noticed any difference. It's a bit extra work, which is not needed. So just make the balls and leave them on your counter for 20 minutes. Okay, so our dough is done resting. I took out the yellow dough from the refrigerator. What we have to do is form these little cylinders. So out of all your dough, you're going to divide it into 30-gram portions. It doesn't matter, you just cut off little pieces, you weigh them, they have to be 30 grams. And basically you just pretend you're playing with Play-Doh, you squish it in between your fingers and you make some logs. Nothing beautiful, nothing that is a lot of work, just make these little logs and that would be it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make your elotes or your corn. Okay, so you are going to need a scraper and a rolling pin. And what you're going to do is you grab your white dough, you press it firmly with both your hands. And then with the help of the rolling pin, you're just going to stretch out your dough. It has a bit of an oval shape. Once you've done that, you're going to use the scraper to make a design. It can be squares, it can be diamonds, that's up to you. Don't press too hard, otherwise you break your dough. And then you're going to flip it over so that the design is on the bottom part. You put it back on your counter. You grab one of your yellow dough portions so you can stretch it out a bit more so that like that you have more filling over your bread. And this is the important part. We're going to close our corn, our elote, and we need to really seal this so that the filling doesn't come out. So you kind of make a little taco and you pinch all the edges so that you can really seal them well. The filling may still come out, it happens, but the bread is still delicious, so don't worry if your bread has some filling peeking out. And then what you do is just with your hands, you kind of give it a soft roll to really press the seam from the bread to make it more smooth on the bottom. And when you put your bread on the tray, just make sure that the seam part is on the bottom so that when it's growing and baking, it doesn't open. And once you have your breads on your tray, you're going to let them rest there for 20 minutes. Okay, so I finished forming the breads. While they're resting, we're going to preheat our oven at 190 degrees Celsius or 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the rest period is done, you're going to put them in your oven and you're going to bake them at that same temperature for 15 minutes. Once the baking time is done, you can take them out and let them cool down. Okay, so our elotes or our corn are done baking. I let them cool down about 2 minutes because you have to coat them in a sugar-cinnamon mixture before letting them fully cool down. The sugar and the cinnamon that I asked for the coating, that's what you're going to mix, and you put it on a plate, and then you just grab your elote and you put it on the plate and you coat it in this mixture. You can move it around and you can grab some with your hands and sprinkle it on the top. Just slightly shake off the excess and put it on a rack too, so it finishes cooling off, and that would be it. It's super simple. Okay, so we're done coating our elotes, our corn. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you make it. As you saw, it's super simple. You just have to let your dough rest about 3 times, but it's not so much of a nuisance. You can do stuff meanwhile. You can wash your dishes, you can clean, you can read a book. There's always stuff to do while you're waiting for the rest periods. And this bread is so yummy. You can have a coffee or anything with it. It's a really, really good bread because it's not overpowering with sweetness. It's like just perfect. It's a really easy bread and the flavor is delicious. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and don't forget to tag us when you make the recipe, #MexMundo. See you guys next time.